Okay, final update of the day. I have been under here for what seems like forever. The passenger side of the van, although it was much more labor intensive, it was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Just getting everything disconnected. This side of the van, the driver's side of the van, however, Jesus, I mean, you can see all the labeling I've done. You know, we've got all these labels where everything goes. I mean, and really that's the most time-consuming part, is just making sure you're going to be able to get everything back in the right position where it came from, so that you don't have vacuum issues or any other issues when the van is running. Again, just making sure that everything's disconnected between the body and the engine, so that when you go to drop the engine, you're not ripping shit apart. It's the most important thing. I've got a bunch of stuff dangling, like transmission shift linkages and starter wire leads. Again, it's very important to have the battery disconnected when you're working under here. Aside from that, man, I think we're about ready to go. The only other thing I didn't do today is mess around with that accessory drive shaft that we discussed in the earlier video. That's just going to be fairly simple. It should be about 3 bolts that I remove first thing in the morning, 3 bolts, and then I'm going to suspend it with some wiring. So that should be fine. Once that's suspended, then we'll go ahead and start reducing the height of the engine. There's a couple of wiring harnesses that go across the top. I'm going to have to figure that out once I get the clearance to see what's up with that. Anyhow, so it's been a long day. Been here for about 6 hours working on this. Everything is pretty much disconnected. Again, you know, right at the top. I'm going to say right back here. This is under the driver's seat. So right here, see that wiring harness that just heads back to the other side of the van? I don't have access to that right now. The camera can see it, but I can't even really get my fingers in there. So once I start reducing the height of the engine tomorrow, that's going to give me, again, 2 or 3 inches to work with, which I hope will be enough to go ahead and see, that bolt's going to have to come loose. It looks like that's holding some ground wires on, and that harness is going to have to stay behind. So in the process, that'll kind of give me an opportunity to check the condition of the wiring harnesses. If there's any wire that looks like it needs some attention, I can go ahead and address that and give it some attention to make sure that it's still getting good connection and communicating with the ECM properly. Aside from that, you can pretty much see right here, all my fuel lines have been disconnected, all my electrical lines have been disconnected. Up front, all the vacuum lines are disconnected. There's pretty much nothing connecting the engine to the body anymore. So aside from that accessory drive shaft. Once I drop that accessory drive shaft, then engine's free to go. We're going to do that first thing in the morning. Pretty worn out from rocking on this thing all day today, and pretty dirty too. Well, maybe, you know, a little bit of some shit on my face, but anyway, about done. Gonna call it a day. Pick up on this in the morning.